Hello and welcome to Tuesday evening's Yoga with Phil. Your practice is at your own risk, so pay attention to how your body feels, taking the right choices for you today, being prepared to sit things out and take lighter options if that's what your body needs. We're going to start standing up today, so bringing yourself to standing. So apologies in advance to anybody who's watching this on the video, maybe in the winter or on a cooler day than today, but I'm going to be probably saying a lot how hot it is because it is a very, very hot day today. And that means we're going to try and do things that won't generate too much heat. But also what I'd recommend today, as I recommended on Monday for those who were here on yesterday's class, you want to be taking things a little bit easier. So as we come into postures, don't take them absolutely to the full 100%. You'll find they'll be cooler and your blood will circulate better if you don't tense your body completely as you stretch into the maximum, but if you just relax and come to about 75-80%, not 100%. So feet hip distance apart, hands relaxing by your side, and then we'll awaken the spine by taking a twist left and right. So again, taking that easy, don't go to maximum speed straight away. Taking your gaze over your shoulder as you come around the back. Allowing your arms just to lift naturally with the movement of the body. Noticing where you're feeling that, maybe around your hips, the front, the side or the back. Maybe around your shoulders. Then starting to slow that down, your arms lowering as you slow, and then coming to standing forward. From there, coming to the front of your mat, ready to take 3 rounds of sun salutations. Now, in fact, I think what we'll do today, we'll take 2 rounds of sun salutations. I think 2 rounds will be plenty to warm us up tonight. So your feet come together, your hands relax by your side. The crown of your head lifts to the ceiling as your feet press evenly down into the mat. So you're neither on the front of your foot nor are you at your heels. The weight's evenly spread through the whole sole of both feet. We begin with a couple of breaths. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale, bringing your hands together at the center of your chest, lifting your elbows, relaxing your shoulders, pressing all of your fingers evenly together, pressing the palms evenly together, and reaching your hands up, looking between your hands, reaching a little higher and taking your arms back, and having this as your first opportunity not to go to your absolute max. So if you've gone to your absolute max, just ease it back a little, keeping a bit spare to keep you a little cooler. From your hips, stretch and reach forward, keeping your arms lifted for as long as you can, but then letting your arms relax down, letting your neck muscles relax, knees bent so your fingertips can touch the ground, looking towards your knees. Taking your right leg all the way back, lower your knee down, place the top of your foot flat on the ground, and let your gaze lift. As your gaze and chest lifts, your hips will relax forward, tucking your right toes under and sending your left foot back, coming into a plank. Push the ground gently away with your hands, heels pressed back, lifting your knees, drawing your navel towards your spine. So you find the strength in the core. Lower your knees, followed by your chest. Touch down with your chin. If you can easily reach it, your forehead could maybe come onto the ground. Pressing forward as you lift your face and lift your chest. Taking your shoulders back, elbows in. Easing back if you've gone to 100%, then tucking your toes, taking your hips back to your heels and lifting your hips by straightening your legs. So heels pressed towards the ground, your hands pressed towards the ground and your hips lift towards the ceiling or the sky. Taking your chest back towards your knees, but again, falling some way short of the absolute max. Looking between your hands, bring your right foot through. Find to bring both knees down first. Use your right hand if your right foot needs a little bit of assistance. Gaze lift, hips relax. Left foot springs through. Back to upper body relaxing over your legs, neck muscles especially. Then reaching up with your arms will bring you back up, looking up between your hands, taking your arms back, and hands come down. Inhale, exhale, palms firmly together. Reaching and stretching your arms up to the ceiling and then taking them back to the wall behind you, pressing your abdomen directly forwards as your chest tilts up to the ceiling. From your hips, stretch forward and then down, everything in relaxing towards the ground in your upper body. Left leg all the way back, lower your knee, lift your gaze, pressing your top of your left foot into the ground a little to help your hips ease forward, tucking your toes under, sending your right foot back, coming to a plank. Shoulder blades ease down your back in your plank, looking between your hands, navel to spine. If you're feeling strong, you could come down in one straight line, taking your elbows back towards your feet, or knees then chest. Lift your face and lift your chest into a gentle cobra, taking your shoulder blades back and drawing your elbows in close. Toes tuck and take a lift up to down face dog. Hands push down, heels push down, hips lift. Pressing your hands forward against the mat to allow your armpits to lower, to allow your chest to come towards your knees. Tilting your tailbone up to the ceiling to get more of a stretch down the back of your legs. Looking between your hands, bringing your left foot through. As you bring that foot through, your right knee comes down. Gaze lift, hips relax. Right foot through, forward fold. Then reaching up with your arms, lifting yourself back up, standing, taking your arms back, look between your hands, and hands come down. Inhale, exhale. We'll take one more round, flowing this time with the breath. Inhale, exhale, palms together, elbows lifting. Inhale, reaching up and taking your arms back. Exhale, stretching forward and all the way down, fingertips touching the mat, in line with your toes. Inhale, right leg back, knee down, gaze lifts. Hold your breath, left foot back, plank, heels push away behind you, shoulder blades down your back. Exhale as you lower, knees then chest or one straight line. Inhale, press forward, lift your face and lift your chest, shoulders back. Exhale, toes tuck and hips lift on high as your heels press down. Inhale, right foot through, left knee down, hips relax. Exhale, left foot through, forward fold. Inhale, lead up with your arms, stretching them up and back, looking between them. Exhale, hands down. Inhale, exhale, palms together, shoulder blades relax. Inhale, reach and stretch up. Exhale, forward, all the way down, a big arcing movement. Inhale, left leg back, knee down, lift your gaze. Hold your breath, right foot back, plank, hips just in line with your neck and heels. Exhale to lower. Inhale, face and chest lifts, shoulder blades back. Exhale, toes tuck, hips lift on high, pushing your hands forward, chest towards your knees. Inhale, left foot through, right knee comes down, hips relax. Exhale, right foot through, final forward fold. Inhale, reaching and stretching your arms up to the ceiling and then taking them back. Exhale, hands down. Feet apart, hands face forward, a couple of breaths here. I'd say cooling breaths. I'm not sure if just a couple of breaths are going to be enough cooling today, but here goes. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Bringing yourself to lying down on your mat. Feet out towards the corners, hands away from your body, your palms turned up. Once you're there, keeping your breath steady. Noticing it's slow as it returns back to resting. Shoulders relaxing, hips relaxing, heels relaxing. And bend your knees, bring your feet in towards you, feet hip distance apart. Pick up your right foot and take your hands around your right knee, drawing your knee firmly in towards your chest. You can either have your hands around the front of your knee or around the back of your knee. Drawing it in firmly. Then taking your hands so that they are interlaced behind your thigh with your knee bent. And we're going to slowly develop this into a stretch of the leg. The first step is to send your heel slowly up towards the ceiling. As you do that, your leg will straighten. So just taking your leg to that point where you're feeling an initial stretch. You keep a little bend in your knee if you need to for your arms to maintain their grip. And then from here, we're going to just gently increase the stretch. We're going to take it to the calf by flexing your right foot, so you're drawing your right toes down towards you, pressing your heel up towards the ceiling. So that engages the calf. And then you could use your arms to see if your leg will come back so your toes head to the wall or garden above your head. Shoulders relax here so you don't hold lots of tension into your shoulders. And then just deepening a little with the breath, but taking it to a little bit short of your absolute max. So as you inhale, you can press your heel to the ceiling, drawing your toes down. And as you exhale, you can ease your leg back a millimetre or two towards the wall behind you. So inhale, you're lengthening your leg, exhaling, you're easing it back. Taking one more breath. Then bend your right knee. Draw it into your chest one more time and then release it. Stretch your right leg out, just giving it a little bit of a shake along the mat. Bending your right knee, bringing your right knee back in alongside your left knee, picking up your left foot, drawing your knee close in towards your chest. So you're feeling that bit of a stretch in your hip as you do that. Changing your grip so your fingers are interlaced behind your thigh. Slowly starting to send your left heel up towards the ceiling. So that leg starts to straighten, but really tuning into how that feels, taking it to a good level of stretch. Starting to draw your toes down as you press your heel towards the ceiling. So you're getting that transition of the stretch into your calf. And then using your hands, easing your leg back. So fine to have a bit of a bend in that knee if it's difficult to keep a hold of it with your leg completely straight. Using your breath as you inhale, heel up to the ceiling, toes down towards your knee, exhaling, drawing your knee back a little more towards the garden or wall above your head. Shoulders relaxing. One more breath. And bend your left knee. Release your thighs, stretch both legs out, letting your feet relax apart, bringing your hands by your side, and allow yourself a couple of breaths there. Bring your feet together, take your arms up above your head. If it's comfortable for your shoulders, interlace your fingers, pressing your palms behind you as your toes press forward, stretching out long. Feeling your lower back lift away from the ground, allowing the air to circulate underneath you, hopefully. Stretching a little longer and releasing. Bringing your arms by your side, coming from there up to sitting. And from sitting to hands and knees, so that we can do a little bit of work for the core. So my thinking as I tried to think of cooler postures was to have postures where we didn't have our whole body on the ground so that the air was circulating. So hence why we're going to do our core on our hands and knees today. Wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. And then just let the back of your waist relax so that your abdomen just stretches down towards the ground. From there, draw your navel towards your spine so that then your back levels up and you feel that strength in your core that we're going to need as you then take your weight a little into your left hand, allowing you to lift your right arm, stretching it forward. Taking your weight then a little bit into your right knee so you can lift your left leg and stretch that backwards. And if you're able to look into your screen, you could just check that your leg and arm are level, in line with your body. Stretching your fingertips forward, stretching your heel backwards, keeping that navel to spine action so you're strong at the core. As you next exhale, take your right hand out to the right and your left leg out to the left. So you're coming out onto a diagonal, stretching your fingertips forward, stretching your heel backwards, and then bringing it back into the center. And then taking 3 or 4 more of those with your breath. As you exhale, take it out to the diagonal. As you inhale, come back into the center. If that's stronger than your left wrist needs on the ground, you could come onto your elbows. Taking one more after this one if you've got it, pressing hand and heel backwards and forwards. Navel still drawing up towards your spine, and then landing your knee down, landing your hand down, opening your knees and sitting back towards your heels, bringing your forehead down towards the ground, maybe just keeping a bit of a lift of your elbows so that you can let the air circulate, touching your forehead to the mat if you can, and just allowing your breath down into your abdomen so that your abdomen stretches down between your knees on an inhale. Lifting your hips and coming back to hands and knees. Knees hip distance, hands shoulder distance apart. Navel towards your spine, back levels out. Lifting your left arm, stretching it forward, lifting your right leg, stretching it back. Keeping the navel drawing to your spine. On an exhale, taking your leg and arm out onto the diagonal. Keep your gaze looking down to the left of your right hand. Inhaling, come back to the center, and then take 3 or 4 more of those with your breath. Exhale to the side. Inhale to bring it back in. So slow, steady, controlled movements. Maybe just checking that your arm and leg is still level if you're able to in your camera. Taking one more. Landing your hand down, landing your knee down. Sitting your hips back to your heels, knees wide so your abdomen sinks down between your knees, taking some nice deep breaths, feeling your abdomen expand as you inhale. Hands come underneath your shoulders, press into your hands to sit up, and come to lying down on your mat, ready for a shoulder stand. The shoulder stand being a cooling, calming posture. And you might, as I say that, be thinking, really? But actually, it does cool, and if you compare it to a headstand, that's a real heat generator, and a shoulder stand does help the air to circulate around the body. So hands in by your side, stretching your legs out. If you don't want to take a shoulder stand, then you could take a leg lift, so having your legs elevated above your heart rather than going into a full shoulder stand. Elbows need to be in as close as you can bring them. When you're ready, lift your legs, let your hips then lift, and take a hold of your hips with your hands. If that doesn't take you straight up there, you might want to take bent knees so you can get a little bit of momentum to lift your hips. And wherever you are, make sure you've got a good firm grip. Have your fingers nice and wide, your whole back of your hand on your lower back, maybe coming on towards your top of your buttocks a little, keeping your gaze up towards your knees. Have a gentle pressure down with your upper arms into the ground. But as always, today, just keeping that as a gentle pressure, not introducing massive tension into your body. Maybe just adjusting your shoulders down so you could lift your legs a little and take more of your buttocks into your hands, or you could lower your knees and feed your back up through your hands, finding what is the most relaxing and easy shoulder stand for you, deciding how much weight to send from your buttocks down your hands to your elbows, balancing that with the weight that's going down your upper body, down through your shoulders into the ground. If you want from here to take the pose of tranquility, then you could take your hips back a little to the wall behind you, take one hand down to the ground followed by the other. And if that feels super stable, you could then slowly bring one hand around and rest it on a shin with your arm straight. And if that feels stable, you could bring the other round. If the first hand doesn't feel stable, then take that back and swap it for the other hand. And that action of swapping one hand to the other will let you develop the control you need to be able to come into a relaxed pose of tranquility. If your legs are resting on your arms, make sure your arms are straight. Let your legs hang heavy on your hands. Your hands will be able to hold them because they're in a strong triangle shape. Making sure that you've got a little bit more of your upper back onto the ground so you're not taking all of your weight onto your neck. But being careful not to overdo that so you unbalance out of the posture. Have one more breath there. Then if you're in the pose of tranquility, bring your hands back onto your lower back, getting a good grip with your palms, just resetting your shoulder stand for a couple of breaths. Then once again, take your hips back a little so the weight comes off your hands. Take one hand, then the other down onto the mat, palms face down, and slow as you like, roll yourself down, draping your back down onto the mat. Once your hips have landed, you can stretch your legs out. And once your legs have landed, turn your palms to face up. Let your feet relax apart. Giving yourself a few breaths for your body to reacclimatise to your head, heart and legs being back in one straight line. We'll counterpose, so take our bodies in the other direction with a gentle bridge. Bend your knees, bring your feet in towards you. Reach your hands down, palms turned down, arms straight, seeing if you can just graze your middle heel with your middle finger so that your shins are near vertical. Taking it nice and slow, just turn your toes slightly in towards each other as well. Then nice and slowly, tilt your tailbone to the ceiling so your lower back presses into the ground. And that starts your hips lifting. Keep that movement going, pressing into your feet as your hips lift slowly away from the ground. Once your hips have come to an easy lift, start to press down into your upper arms, lifting a little bit more of your upper back away from the mat. From here, if you wanted to, you could interlace your hands underneath you and then take your weight a little over onto one shoulder, and with the other shoulder roll your upper arm outwards and underneath you so your shoulder tucks under a little, taking your weight then onto that shoulder and rolling and tucking your other shoulder underneath. Maybe seeing if you can lift your hips a little more by pressing your feet down into the ground but also forward. That will help your little sticky out bones at the front of your hips head up towards the corner of the wall and ceiling above your head. Again, check you're not at your max. If you are at your max, ease back a step. And then keep a gentle downward pressure in your arms and your feet, keeping your hips lifting, keeping your upper back lifting, keeping your breath steady, smooth and expansive, Taking 2 more good breaths there. If your hands are interlaced, moving them out to the side and draping yourself slowly back down to the ground, sending your hips to your heels so your back comes down 1 vertebra at a time. Hips land last. When they do, bring your knees onto your chest, taking your arms around the back of your legs or your knees and have a rock side to side. Bringing that rocking to a halt in the centre and easing your head to your knees, drawing your knees to your chest. Landing your head down, landing your feet down, and bringing yourself up to sitting. So we'll take a neck release, turning your head slowly to the right, chin level, neither looking up nor looking down, coming back to the centre and looking to the left, back to the centre, over to the right once more, as far right this time as your neck is comfortable to go, back to the centre, as far left as your neck is comfortable to go, and back to the centre. So we're going to take our back bend. For our back bend today, we're going to take camel pose, Ustrasana. So in camel pose, this is the one where we will be kneeling. I'll just demonstrate this first. And our aim will be to reach up and back and see if we can reach back and find our heels. Now we're going to be doing it a few times, and what's good if you can is that between times you can sit comfortably. So if sitting on your heels isn't your most favourite thing, what you could do alternatively is maybe come forward into a gentle child's pose, or if you had enough blocks and bricks and things to place between your feet, or cushions or anything else, you could have them there so that as you rest, instead of you're putting your weight down onto your feet, you're putting it onto some cushions or blocks or bricks. So when you're ready, come into standing on your knees. You've got a moment if you wanted to get anything to put between your feet. Books would be another thing that you could put between your feet. Allowing your arms to relax. Allowing your shoulders to relax. Bringing your hands onto your hips and tucking your toes under so that your heels are elevated. We're going to come at this in steps. The first step is to take your shoulders back and relax them down. That starts a little back bend going. And then you could tilt the top of your chest upwards to the ceiling just a touch. Then we're going to just take your attention to your shoulder blades. What I want you to do is to, in a moment, push them forwards and up, as if you're trying to push them through your chest to the corner of the wall and ceiling above you. So as you next inhale, push your shoulder blades forward and up, as if through your chest to that corner of the wall and the ceiling. And then when you next exhale, lengthen the front of your body by tilting the front of your chest up towards the ceiling as you ease your hips forward a little. So that movement will just lengthen from here to here. So we'll take one more of those. As you next inhale, pushing your shoulder blades forward and up through your chest. As you exhale, lengthening the front of your body, tilting your chest up and back as you ease your hips forward a little. Then take your right hand off your hips and stretch it up to the ceiling. Stretch it high to the ceiling as you then take your left hand back towards your left heel, taking your right arm back, and that might allow you to bring your fingertips back towards your heel. You may make contact with your heel. If you don't, just have your hand heading in the direction of your heel. Lifting your chest, relaxing your shoulders back, taking your right arm back, showing your armpit to the ceiling. That'll help you to ease yourself back, keeping your hips heading forward, looking directly upwards, Then if your gaze is lifted, look forwards. Lift your right arm up towards the ceiling, bringing your body with you. Exhale, lower your right hand. And then come to a relaxed position, which might be sitting on your heels, or it might be just coming onto your elbows so that your hips are towards your heels, but they're not putting weight down onto the tops of your feet, which I know can be excruciating. Taking a moment of rest there. And then let's do the other side. So coming back to standing on your knees hip distance apart, hands are on your hips, tucking your toes under to give you a fighting chance of finding your heels. Once again, take your shoulders back and relax them down. A first tilt of your chest upwards towards the ceiling. Then as you next inhale, lift your shoulder blades up and forwards as if through your chest to the corner of the wall of the ceiling. And as you exhale, ease your hips forward as you take your chest up and back towards the ceiling. So inhaling, pushing your shoulder blades up through your chest. Exhaling, lengthening your body, hips forward, chest tilting up and back. Taking your left hand, pointing it up towards the ceiling. Taking your right hand, pointing it back towards your right heel. Then taking your left arm back, armpit lifts to the ceiling, reaching your right arm back towards your heel, easing your hips forward, looking up towards the ceiling or sky, lifting your chest as you take that left arm back, seeing if your fingertips can make contact with your heel. Holding there for a breath. Then if you're looking up, look forward. On an inhale, lift your left arm, bring your body with it. Exhale, lower your left arm, and then sit yourself back either onto your heels or coming onto your elbows into a loose child's pose. And that's also a chance to rest your back. Bringing yourself back up to kneeling, standing on your knees, and tucking your toes under. So we're going to this time take it into full camel pose. So as we do this, we're going to do this in 3 steps. Only you can know how your back's feeling, so you might want to stop at the first or the second steps, or you might want to take it all the way, but just take it as far as your back is happy to go today. Taking your hands behind you, resting your palms onto your lower back, so your fingertips are pointing down. Just checking that your toes are tucked under and your heels are lifted. Bringing your elbows in towards each other, and as you do that, your lower back will be pressed forward, so bringing you into a back bend. And this is where this might be enough. You might choose to stop here. If you're wanting to take this further, take your shoulders back and down, so your shoulder blades drift down your back, tilting the top of your chest up towards the ceiling. Then that move again. As you next inhale, press your shoulder blades forward and up as if through your chest, and as you exhale, take your chest up and back as you ease your hips forward, lengthening out the front of your body. Next inhale, shoulder blades press up through your chest. Exhaling, lengthen your body, hips forward, chest tilting up to the ceiling and back. So you could then stay here, but if you wanted to take it further, you could reach your left hand back and see if you can find a heel. Or if not, you don't find a heel, just send it back in the direction of your heel. If your left hand is happy there, you could then take your right hand back and see if your right hand can make a contact or head in the direction of a heel, easing your hips forward as you lift your chest up and back, looking directly upwards towards the ceiling or sky, relaxing your shoulders, keeping your breath steady for one more breath, reaching back a little further as you take that breath. Could you bring your palms onto your heels? Then if your gaze is lifted, look forward. Bring one hand onto your lower back, followed by the other. On an inhale, sit up. And on an exhale, with your knees together at first, sit back onto your heels, reach your hands forward, and drape your upper body over your closed knees. So we'll just start in a closed knee child's pose, because that allows your back to stretch over your knees, and that just gives it a little bend in the opposite direction, so a gentle forward bend. If your forehead isn't easily touching the ground, you could place a fist or two underneath your forehead or a block. Taking a couple of breaths there. And then making it your most comfortable child's pose. So you may want to open your knees, or if you prefer, keep them closed, moving your hands to where you like them to be, either in front with your elbows lifted, relaxing with your elbows on the mat, one hand on top of the other maybe, or bringing your hands down by your feet, or resting one hand on top of the other on your lower back. Wherever you are, let everything go on each exhale. Bringing your hands underneath your shoulders, coming up to hands and knees. Wrists are under your shoulders, knees are underneath your hips. We'll take a little bit of cat-cow here to ease the back out. So as you next inhale, lift your tailbone to the ceiling, let the back of your waist dip down to the ground, lift your face to look up. Then as you exhale, tuck your tailbone under, arch your back up to the ceiling and tuck your head down. And then you do that with your breath. Inhale as you lift your head and tailbone, letting your back relax down. Exhaling as you tuck head and tailbone under, arching your back up. Cat-cowing out that back stretch. Next time you're in cat, hold there, head tucks under, tailbone tucks under. Having a final press of your back up towards the ceiling. And then release. Sit yourself back onto your heels. Let's treat ourselves to another child's pose. Coming straight into your most comfortable child's pose. Maybe just keeping your elbows on the ground to give you a little bit of a lift and an opportunity for air to circulate underneath you. Bringing your hands underneath your shoulders, pressing into your hands, bringing yourself up and coming to sitting with your legs stretched out. So we'll take a twist from here, bending your right knee, bringing your right foot across the left leg and drawing it in nice and close. Taking your left arm out nice and wide, taking it back, and then that just lets you bring it in with a bit of momentum to see if you can then wrap your arm tightly around that knee. If you can, taking the sort of knee into the crook of your elbow. Then take your right hand behind you, pressing your fingertips into the ground, and then just lifting your upper body upwards and forwards so that your forehead, so that your leg and upper body are as close as you can bring them. That will mean that you're sitting up good and straight. Then when you next exhale, start taking your chest slowly around to the right. Taking your right shoulder back, taking your gaze gently over your right shoulder with your chin level. So this is definitely one where you don't want to take it to the absolute maximum. Don't become tense here. Keeping your upper body relaxed. Drawing your right knee a little bit across to the left to help you to stretch the right piriformis, which you'll feel in your right glute. And then take a couple of breaths here where on the inhale you press down with your right hand. On the exhale you ease yourself round. But I really do mean ease yourself round. It'll only be a millimetre or two. Then as you next inhale, lift your left arm to the ceiling as you untwist. Exhale, lowering your left arm. Stretching your right leg out and crossing your left leg over the right leg. Bringing your left foot in close. Reaching your arm out to the right. You're ahead of me there, Martin. Stretching your arm back and then bringing it round with a bit of welly so you get that good grip on the leg. And as you do that, you might just want to have a little bit of an adjustment because you might find that your abdomen is getting in the way a bit. So you might just need to bring it back first and start it coming round. Taking your left hand behind you, pressing your left fingertips into the ground, sitting upright and slowly starting to turn your chest around to the left. When you've gone as far as you can easily go, take your gaze over your left shoulder, easing your left shoulder further round to take you deeper into the twist. Stopping short of your absolute maximum. Using your breath, inhaling, pressing into your back hand, exhaling, easing round a small bit more. When you next inhale, lift your right arm as you untwist. Exhale, lowering your right arm. Stretching your left leg out and taking a shake of your legs. It really is quite hot, isn't it? Bit of hot yoga though. You'll find stretches will go a little bit deeper than usual. Coming to standing from here. So we're going to take two strong standing postures, Warrior 1 and Warrior 3. But I want you to take them with a certain amount of lightness. I just realised, so if you could point your mat towards the screen, if you're able to, it doesn't matter if you can't. It doesn't matter if you can't. So by a bit of lightness, what I mean is, again, not introducing massive tension, not making them full strength. So turning to face this way, so we all face this way to the right, and taking your legs as wide as they will comfortably go. Hands are on your hips, turning your right foot in and turning your left foot to face forward. Using your hands so you can guide your hips around to face in this direction. Pressing your back foot down into the ground, lifting your chest. When you next exhale, slowly taking a bend of your left knee. Torso stays upright as your hips relax down. Bringing it down to a comfortable amount, keeping your back foot pressing down. Drawing your left thigh bone in towards you so that your left hip comes round a tiny bit more, just keeping a gentle pressure down in that front foot as well as a pressure down in that back foot. When you next inhale, just lift your arms. So don't stretch them massively high as I would often extol you to do. Let them relax a little. We'll take a couple of breaths, so as you inhale, just let your arms lift a little, and as you exhale, let your hips relax down a little. Inhaling, arms lift, exhaling, hips relax. making sure you're not at full strength. And then we're going to transition to a warrior one here. So very slowly and carefully pick up your back heel, bringing your toes around so that you are on your toes. Step that foot in little steps at first. And then when it's coming enough, you could then lift your right foot away from the mat, just lifting it as high as your balance allows. Stretching your hands forward as your right heel stretches backwards. Maybe having a spot on the ground, a foot or two in front of you to hold your gaze, keeping your breath steady. A final stretch of your hands forward, a final stretch of your heel back. Then bend your standing leg, your left leg, land your back foot down behind you. Bring your arms back up for a momentary warrior one. Then turning to the side, face your feet forward, hands on hips, and heel toe your feet back together. Wonderful, those looked mighty fine, warrior ones and warrior threes. Maybe allowing yourself a little bit of a ease out of your legs. And then we'll come to face this way and do it on the other side. So legs are out wide, hands on hips, left foot turns in, right foot turns forward. Guide your hips around to face the short edge of your mat, pressing down into your back foot so that that leg's got some strength to it. Chest lifts. When you next exhale, slowly bending your right knee. Your hips lower, your torso stays upright. Keep your back foot pressing down, and now put a little bit of pressure down into that front foot so you can draw this right thigh back so it comes a little firmer into its socket. That'll take your right hip back just a touch. When you next inhale, lift your arms gently to the ceiling. Keeping that pressure down both feet. As you inhale, a gentle lift of your arms, and as you exhale, sink your hips a tiny bit lower. Inhaling, arms lift. Exhaling, hips sink. Slowly then picking up your back heel, twisting round onto your toes. Baby steps at first, bringing that foot in. Once it's coming enough, it will just float up to the ceiling. Stretching your hands forward as your heel presses back. Just lifting that leg as high as your balance allows. Maybe applying a little bit of core, navel to spine to give you some strength in the middle. Then bending your right knee, landing your left foot back. Lifting for a momentary warrior one. Turning to the side, feet face forward, hands on hips, and heel toe your feet back together. Doing whatever feels the right thing to do to give you a little bit of a release. And we'll take a side bend from here, giving us a chance to take the spine through another movement. So feet hip distance apart, relaxing your hands by your side and letting your shoulders relax. With both feet pressing down into the ground, take a tilt over to the left. So imagining that you're holding something heavy in your left hand, and that's what's bringing you over to the left. Bringing your right hand behind your head, palm against the back of your head. And that then lets you lift your elbow up towards the ceiling. And as you do that, you can press your right foot down into the ground. So really stretching long from elbow to right foot. Using your breath, as you inhale, see if your elbow will lift a little higher. And as you exhale, can you relax a little more to the left? Take one more breath. This can be a deceptive posture. It looks very simple, but it gives you a very strong stretch down the outside of the right hip. As you next inhale, come slowly back up. Releasing your right hand, hands by your side, shoulders relaxing. Then when you're ready, start tilting to the right. Right arm is now the heavy one, drawing the right side of your body, the right shoulder down towards the ground. But keeping your left shoulder relaxed, don't allow that to ride up. Bringing your left hand, the palm back onto your head, lifting your left elbow up towards the ceiling. Pressing your left foot down into the ground. Maybe just making sure your left elbow hasn't come forward, that it's still easing back a little. And use your next few breaths. Inhale, elbow lifts as your left foot presses down. Exhaling, relax a little more to the right. One more breath. When you next inhale, come back up. Exhale, lowering your left hand. And then from there, although technically we have done a balance, it would be nice to take a cooling, calming, relaxing tree pose. So bringing your feet together, maybe if you want, choosing to come off your mat to give you a firmer connection to the ground. Shoulders relax, chest lifts a little. Picking up your right heel, so your right knee bends. Taking your knee out to the side. Knowing that this would be a balance, or you could draw your toes in, or you could bring your foot onto your calf, or you could bring your foot onto your thigh. Anywhere is good except around the knee. That's not a healthy place to bring your foot. Let your hands relax in front of you, let your shoulders relax. Your left foot's pressing firmly down into the ground, your right foot's firmly against the leg. As you next inhale, bring your hands to your heart center. As you next inhale, lift your hands. So thinking of the tree, hands, branches stretching wide. Left foot is your root, firmly anchoring you down into the ground. Maybe taking your right knee back just a touch. As you next exhale, lowering your hands back to your heart center. As you next exhale, lowering your hands, lowering your right leg. Maybe taking a shake of your left leg, because your left ankle has just been supporting you, which is great because that's strengthening the left ankle, loading the bones in the left leg. Feet back together, hands relaxing by your side, shoulders relaxing. Bending your left knee, left heel lifts, turning your knee out and bringing your foot to wherever you want it to be. Pressing your right foot firmly into the ground. Hands relaxed just for a moment. Let your balance establish itself. Maybe finding that spot on the ground to hold your gaze. As you next inhale, bring your hands together at your heart center. Next inhale, lifting your arms, stretching them wide. Next exhale, hands to your heart center. Next exhale, lowering your hands, lowering your leg. Those were wonderful. There was no wind in the forest today. Fantastic, fantastic. Excellent. Let's finish with a final forward fold. Hands on your hips, feet hip distance apart. Taking a lift of your chest, When you next exhale, lead forward with your chest. Hinging for as long as you can with a bit of lift in your chest. When you've gone as far as you can, release your hands from your hips. Let your upper body relax down. Let the crown of your head hang towards the mat. So your neck muscles are completely relaxed. Take hold of the opposite elbow with the opposite hand. Allow yourself a small bend of your knees. And then use your out breath. Each time you exhale, let your body drift a millimetre or two closer towards the ground. One more breath. Release your hands to the ground. Bend your knees a little more, tuck your tailbone under, starting to uncurl and unfurl back up. Your head will lift last. Take a roll back of your shoulders when it does. And then bring yourself to lying down for final relaxation. Taking your feet to the corners of the mat, taking your palms, pointing them up towards the ceiling. Letting everything rest, relax. And we're going to take a walk through the body, actively letting and permitting every part of the body completely and fully relax and rest. Start by taking your attention to your feet and your toes. Just being aware of them at first, so you check in with them. Then consciously relaxing them as you quietly say to yourself, my feet and toes are relaxing, my feet and toes are relaxed. To your ankles, my ankles are relaxing, my ankles are relaxed. Calves, checking in with them then, calves relaxing, calves relaxed. Knees, relaxing, relaxed. Upper legs. Hips and pelvis. Lower back. Middle back. Upper back. Hands and fingers. Wrists. Forearms. Elbows. Upper arms. Shoulders. Neck. Back of your head. Face. Whole head relaxing, whole head relaxed. Whole body relaxing. Whole body completely and fully relaxed. Keeping your body still for another moment or two. Gradually and gently bringing your awareness and attention, noticing any noises that there are in the space around you or outside the space you're in. Bringing movement back with a wriggle of your fingers and a wriggle of your toes. Bringing your legs together, taking your arms up overhead, having a stretch, toes forward, hands back. Releasing that stretch, bending your knees, bringing one knee then the other onto your chest. Arms around your knees, have a rock side to side. Bringing that rocking to a halt in the centre, drawing your head to your knees, drawing your knees to your chest. Release, land your head down, land your feet down. Bringing yourself maybe via your right hand side for a breath or two, slowly up to sitting. Wonderful to see you all. Thank you for joining me. Namaste.